Okay, now here I'm going to just go ahead and connect the vertical lines and the horizontal lines, draw those in, and that way I can get to sketching. What is really nice about using a transparency rather than drawing on your portrait is that, well, not only is it reusable, but you could flip the transparency up when you want to see underneath one of your grid lines, because sometimes there are small little details that the grid line might actually hide, and if you're really into small details as I am, you want to be able to just kind of flip that transparency up. So you can see how I could do that right there. Okay, now I decided to use a 4H pencil. Most of the time I'll use a 2H or an F, a layout pencil like the 555 from Generals. But today I'm just going to go ahead and use a 4H, use a really light hand. And what I'm doing here is I'm looking at the square for the top of the head, and what I see in the square is exactly what I'm drawing. Now, I'm not going to draw every little hair. I just want to get a basic outline of his head, and then I'll worry about the details later. Now you want to just make sure that you draw exactly what you see within the squares. And what I like to do is I'll look at the negative space. It's usually, you know, an area that maybe is not the main subject. Like, for example, you can see his beard might be in half of a square and his skin might be in another half. Well, I'll look at that skin maybe as the negative space and look at that shape and make sure that I leave that shape within that square. And so it helps me to freehand this as I go along. But in part two, not in this video, but in part two, I'm going to go in with my proportional divider and make sure that all my measurements are correct, mostly around the eyes and the ears and the nose and so forth, the main areas. Okay, so I'm coming to the end here of sketching this portrait, and here you can see what I've done so far. Now in part two, I'll go in and make sure I've got any little details that I need in there, and I'll also make sure that I've got the eye measurements correct and everything else. So I'll see you in part two. Thanks for watching.